Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome. Yes, I'm back with another Power Apps component framework tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to go ahead and create a Power Apps virtual React component. And what the component will do, it will be a shaking text. So, that being said, if you're new to Power Apps and if you're new to React, I would highly recommend you go and look at my tutorial series which I created a few weeks ago. So let me actually get that tutorial series onto my screen and let me show you. So yeah, my friends, this is the tutorial series. And if you're very new to Power Apps component framework, I would request you to please go ahead and look at the series before coming to this tutorial. Yes, if you know React, that's fine. But if you want to know about component framework, this is where you need to go ahead and get your basics cleared. Once you have your basics cleared, you can go ahead and come back to this tutorial and follow along. So that being said, let's go ahead and create our shaking text control. So the first things first, I'm going to go ahead and create a folder, and in the folder, I'm going to open Visual Studio Code. So why are we creating this particular React component that is shaking text? So the shaking text component can be used to draw attention to the text. So if and get a sense of urgency, importance, or excitement. Mainly if you have a long form, if you want to go ahead and highlight something that is very important, you might go ahead and use the shaking text control because it can grab attention. So that being said, the first step would be to go ahead and provision the control. So I'm going to provision the control by going ahead and pasting a line, and this line would be pack PCF init, the name of my component, the namespace, the type of the component that is field, and then the framework used. And finally, I'm going to run npm install. Okay, so as a prerequisite, you need to have Power Apps CLI installed. You need to have Node.js installed. You also need to have Visual Studio installed. So if you don't have those, I will go ahead and link in the blog in which can help you get the prerequisites in place. So now that I have my code component provisioned, what I'll do first is try to run this code component as is. Okay, so to run the code component, I can type first, I need to build it. So I'll say npm run build. This will build my code component. And then I'll say npm start watch. Perfect. So this is our out of box code component. What does it say? It says hello world. And that's pretty much it. So we are going to change this particular hello world into our shaking component. So let me close this. Let me go ahead and type in Control C on the terminal and I'll say Y. So first things first, let's look at the component structure. So from down to the top, you see that first you have a tsconfig.json file. This is where you can go ahead and give your compiler options, right? And next you have the main PCF project. You should not touch it unless you really know what you're doing. Next would be the configurations, the packages that you're going to be used. Then you have again the packages, that is log.json. Then you have the git ignore. And then the most important part is this particular folder, that is the shaking text folder. In this particular folder, there is a manifest file. The manifest file is the metadata about the control. So first things first, again, I will repeat, if you are new to Power Apps component framework, please look at my previous tutorial. I have explained in much details of what this particular file holds and how this file can help you extend, or I can say create effective PCF controls by using feature usage, or maybe even passing in custom CSS and so on. But let's skip this for now and let's get rid of the things that are not required. Perfect. So your bare bone control manifest will look like this. First things first, it has a namespace, it has a constructor, it has a display name, it has a description, and most important, the control type is virtual. If you're creating a normal control, that is just JavaScript control or a TypeScript control, it will be standard. But this is virtual. Next, what I want to show you is the property name. So the property names are the properties in the property bag. So if I go ahead and start this npm start watch, this will launch my browser. And just take a note of this name. It's sample property, right? So the sample property is visible out here. It's a type of input. It shows that it's a type of single line of text. So this is what your sample, okay? This is what your sample property is. I leave this thing running. I'll not exit it. But do we need to go ahead and name this as sample property? No, right? We need to give it a different name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first and foremost change the properties. Going to paste in my custom properties. Perfect. So I have pasted in four properties. One is the dummy text. I'll tell you when I'm going to use it. But most importantly, it's of a type bound. Then I have input text, which is actually going to contain the text that shakes. Then I have the font size, and then I have the font color, right? Next, the most important thing would be the React library version. You cannot change this, okay? So if you, at the time of doing this particular demo, we are in a much further version of React, but can I use it? No. We cannot change this version. Maybe in future, Microsoft supports a more latest version, right? But as of now, just remember you cannot change it. It also gives you an option to use the Fluent UI or the Fluent libraries, but I'm not going to use it. So that being said, our manifest file looks good. Our manifest file looks good. That is perfect. Now I need to go ahead and provision my shaking control. To go ahead and provision my shaking control, I'm going to use a React library. The React library that I'm going to use is going to be the reshake libraries. Let me actually open the reshake library out here. So the reshake library is under the MIT license. That's the first thing that I want to tell you. And I want to give a big shout out to this particular developer who created this library. So first thing that I want to do is I want to go ahead and add this package into my project, right? So the easiest way to add the package to the project would be to go ahead and use npm, right? So I'll just go ahead and say npmi reshake. So this will install the dependencies in my project. Perfect. So package.json, let me quickly check. Yeah, reshake has been added. Perfect. Now I'll go back to hello world.tsx. Do I need this hello world.tsx? No, right? I want to go ahead and create my own component. So I can rename it to something that makes a whole lot of sense for my particular component. So what I'll do, I'll rename the hello world.tsx into shaking component.tx. I'll also change all the imports. I'm going to get rid of all the things out here. I'll leave the React and I'm going to paste this particular component here. Okay, so I don't want this to be double. But if you see, my friends, it's giving me an error saying that could not find the module reshake. We went ahead and did that, but Still, it's not going ahead and doing it. So, the easiest way to get around the problem, as it suggested, is to add a declaration in d.ts file. So, do we have a d.ts file as of now? The answer is no. So, we need to create a typings d.ds file. So, I'll quickly go ahead and create one in the main, in the root. So, this is good. And I'm going to declare my reshake modules out here. As soon as I do that, the error goes away. So this is perfect. I'll go back to my index.ts, and here I need to go ahead and change this particular thing. So I want to change this to my shake, right? So I want to change this to my shake. I don't have props as of now, so let me get rid of this. It's giving me an error. So the error is my shake is not declared or never used. Okay. So I'll go back here to my component itself. And yes, I have not exported it. So let me go ahead, export const my shake. As soon as I do that, this error goes away. So that's perfect. As of now, this props no longer exists. So I'll get rid of this props. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and add my shake out here, and there's no props, and I'll click on save. And here, my friends, I'll start watch. So let me see if my component actually goes ahead and works as expected, or at least works, right? So let's keep it simple. So here, yes. So if you see, there is a component that shakes. So first things first, we have crossed the first hurdle. The first hurdle is actually what? The first hurdle is to go ahead and have the component integrated. So that's done. Next, what I'm going to do, I want to go ahead and add some custom CSS or custom styles to this project. So before I add the custom styles to this project, if you remember, we had already gotten the properties in here. That is the font size, the font colors, and the input text. But these are not referenced as of now anywhere, right? So first things first, I need to go into my shaking component file, and I want to create an interface such that it exports these values. So I'm going to create an interface, or I'm going to just paste an interface out here. And to this interface, I'm going to pass in the props. Once I go ahead and pass in the props, I need to go ahead and decorate this with a div. So decorated it with a div. Now my component screams. So let me go ahead and copy it here and paste it within this. Within the div, I need to go, I can add styles. So bracket, open curly brackets, and then I can pass in the values out here, such as font size and font color. Now this I think is set, but however, I want to pass these properties from the index file. So firstly, I want to import it, right? So if I go back, let me just quickly check. I have exported it. So I need to import the props. So I'll import the props by adding a comma and putting the name out here. I want to go ahead and under the class, what I can do, I can create a public props out here of. Next, I want to use these props in the update method. But to use this prop in the update method, I need to pass this value in, right? I want to pass this value in. So let me put in some real estate out here, and let me go ahead and get the code that can help me pass in the props properly. So I can just copy it like this. And if you see, the context is used to get the input properties. So this looks good to me. And finally, I want to pass the props from here. So I can put in 3 dots, and I can say this dot shaker props. So the props will be passed from here into my shaking component. If I go back and open my component, it still complains. So why does it complain? Let's go ahead and find out. Let's look at the error. It tells me the object are not a valid React child. Okay, so let me go into my shaking text component and I might have found the error because it seems that I have done a mistake because this has to open out here and the styles actually should be within the div. So if I do this like this and if I save my component and if I go back, yes, perfect. Now it's rendering. If you see that it's rendering in yellow color. If I go ahead and change it to red, if I refresh the control, it should be rendering in red color as well. So that's perfect. So my control works as expected. Now, that being said, the next step would be to go ahead and package this control and add it and try it in real life. So, first things first, I need to do a control C, a Y, I need to do a control run build. So first I need to create a solutions directory, mkdir solution. Perfect. I can then go into the cd and say solution. So this is where I'm going to go ahead and package my code component. I'm going to pass in a command which says pack solution, initialize the publisher name. I'll just give it developer and dev as of now. Next, what I want to do, I want to add a reference to my project. So how do I add a reference? I first go ahead and give it a path and then I give it the solution path. So I'll just paste this here. And do I have a control? Yeah, control, enter. So this will go ahead and add a reference to my project. Next, I'm going to go ahead and use the developer prompt out here. So I'm first thing going to go ahead and do a cd, paste the path in here. I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to say cd, and I want to get into the solution. Perfect. And now I'm going to go ahead and use ms build. So the command would be ms build /t build /restore, and this will go ahead and package my solution. So open an explorer. Come on, where's my explorer? Okay, reveal an explorer. So I have debug and I have my solutions file. I can go ahead and first things first, I need to go ahead and copy as path. I need to go into my Dataverse environment. So I'm going to go ahead and use my existing environment out here. I'm going to click on solutions. I'm going to click on import solution, choose solution, and I'm going to paste in this particular path and I'm going to say next. I'm going to say import. So we can add the solution to both a canvas app or a model driven app. So first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the app that we are going to add this to, job hunting app. To this app, my idea would be to go ahead and get attention on the title of this particular job, right? If you see this is very lame and maybe they just go ahead and miss it out. But we want to get our attention on the title of the project. As of now, there's no shaking text. That's what is very important. Now, if I go back, if I go into my solutions, if you see the solution is currently getting imported, so we need to wait patiently. So my solution has been successfully imported. The next step would be to go ahead and publish the solution. So my solution is getting published. So now my solution has also get published. So first let's go ahead and add create shake. Skip, I'll say add, I'll say get component. and it's a type of code component. And you see our component is here, so I can say import. So here, once I import the component, I can put in the component in this particular place and I can set the value. So let's say that I want to set warning and font size would be, let's make it big, let's make it 90. Let's say the color would be red. Perfect, right? So I can move my component around. I'll just put it in the center. And if I play it, you see, my component is actually shaking. Similarly, what I can do is I can go back, or I can just go to make.powerapps.com. I don't want to go ahead and save anything. I'll just leave it. I want to add it to my app, right? So the job hunting app. So the app, to add it to the app, I first need to add it to the form. So I have a custom form out here named as jobs. And to this particular form, I want to add it to the main form. So I'll say edit a new tab. And here on this particular form, I want to go ahead and add the control. Now, if you remember, I also created dummy text, right? Similarly, I don't want to go ahead and block users from editing the title field, because if I go ahead and associate it to a field such as title, the user, if they want to block it, it's not possible. So I have a sample field out here, which is a dummy field. To this field, I'll say hide the label. I don't want to show the label. And then I can go ahead and bind my component. My component is not visible out here. So why is it not visible? Let's go ahead and see. Maybe it's caching. Maybe we did something wrong, but let me first switch to classic. So I have my shaking field out here. If I double click on it, I can go into the controls. The default is text. I don't want to add the text. I want to see if I can find the shaking control. So yeah, the shaking text control is available out here. So that's perfect. To the input text, I don't want to bind it to the empty field, but I want to bind it to another field. And the field that I want to bind it to would be the title. So I'll say, okay. I can give it a font size. Again, let's make it big so that it's readily available. Let's make it 72. And to this, I want to go ahead and add it a red color. So I'll bind to static value and I'll say red. And that's it. I'll click on OK. I'll save it and then I'll publish it. So here, my friends, you need to understand sometimes in the modern UI, you don't see the components. So if you don't see it, don't panic. If you have done everything right, the component should be available in the classic view. So that's a quick tip out here. Now that my component has been added, let's go to the apps. Let's go into the job hunting app. So just quickly type in job hunting app. Open this app. And let's open this property. Okay, it seems that something has not done correctly. So I need to again click here. And if I go to the control, I have not set the control. I just went ahead and did it, but I did not set it. So that's my bad. So I'll save it and then I'll try to publish it. Okay, it did not give me any response. So I'll just go ahead and say empty cache and hard reload. Okay, I'll launch my app again. And I'll open this. And here, my friends, you have the shaking control. Now, if I modify this, so I'll say senior SharePoint developer. And if I just click out somewhere, you see this updates. So this is pretty much it. I hope this particular demo or this particular tutorial was informative. If you need more tutorials related to React or related to components, please leave a comment in the chat window. Subscribe to my channel to get more interesting stuff about Power Apps, Power Automate, and have a great day. Bye-bye.